Moe, Larry, and Mantan Moreland. It could have been a thing. Moe and Larry were into it. Today we're talking about how a black man almost replaced Shemp. If you remember, Shemp replaced Curly after Curly replaced Shemp, but that's a whole different video. By 1955, Mantan Moreland had already made a name for himself as a comedian. He'd started out in vaudeville and then he'd moved on to race films. Race films were a movie genre of the early 1900s made with mostly black actors and intended for mostly black audiences. And as things go in this country, most of those movies were financed by big white-owned production companies, but that's a whole different video. Mantan had also returned to vaudeville in 1940, touring America with partner Ben Carter until 1946 when Carter died.
Benjamin Carter, yeah. Boy, it's been a long time. I haven't seen you since...
Longer than that.
Yeah?
The last time I saw you, you was living over...
Oh, I moved from there.
Yeah?
Sure, I moved over to,
How can you live in that neighborhood?
I don't know.
Many of Mantan's roles portrayed an old-time characterization of blacks which had started to fall out of fashion by the late 1940s.
Mr. Bill! Mr. Bill!
What's the matter, Jack?
I seen them.
You saw what?
They're all over the place. They're everywhere.
What's everywhere?
Hands, big black ones with frozen faces, with eyes that looks at you and they don't see nothing.
What's he talking about?
Oh, zombies. Mr. Bill, let's get out of here. Why, this place is a walking cemetery.
The civil rights movement was just a fetus at the time, but some production companies were taking note. Not Disney, but some production companies. Mantan had been typecast into a particular vernacular and style that kept him from getting as many roles as he'd been accustomed to. By the time the 1950s came around, it looked like his movie career was effectively over. But things could have been different. After Shemp Howard died in 1955, Moreland was considered for the role of the third Stooge in the Three Stooges. Back then, you might have thought it'd be Dudley Dickerson, a black actor who'd already appeared in 10 Stooges movies, but that's a whole other video. No, seriously, I'm working on that video next. But back to Moreland. Apparently, Moe and Larry thought it was a great idea to have Moreland as their third Stooge, but Columbia Pictures insisted on using a comedian they already had under contract. That's the official story anyway. According to the Life and Times of Mantan Moreland by Michael Price, in a 1973 interview, Moe said, "We really should have made Mantan Moreland our next third Stooge back when my brother Shemp cashed in. Mantan was responsive when Larry and I talked the idea over with him. He had the wordplay, he had the physical shtick, the jive moves, and double-take receptions that would have filled the gaps where Jerome and Shemp kept covered. But of course, Columbia demanded a white guy, and we ended up with that prissy damn Joe Besser." The combination of Moe, Larry, and Mantan could have been the synergy to revive all their careers. But so it goes. Mantan picked up some small roles in TV appearances in the late 1960s and early 70s and appeared on the show Love American Style, which featured a rotating list of guest actors. Had he lived long enough, he might have shown up on The Love Boat or Fantasy Island. He also recorded a few comedy record albums, but then on September 28, 1973, Mantan died of a cerebral hemorrhage. And posthumously in 2004, he was inducted into the National Multicultural Heritage Museum Hall of Fame. In the description, I'll link his IMDb page where you can find all his films, including 2 he made with Shemp when Shemp was solo. If you like what I do here, please click the button and the bell. My daughter also makes videos. I'll link her at the end. Thanks for watching. Stay out of the comfort zones.
Can you say triboluminescence? I can barely say it.
Triboluminescence. That was pretty easy.
It's a word for when breaking or crushing something makes light.